Welcome to the ITM podcast.
This is episode 193 of the ITM podcast, the official Red Sox podcast of CLNS Media, brought to you by Prize Picks. I'm Joey Capone, that's Scott Neville, and Scott's first ever prediction on this show was dead wrong. Jordan Montgomery signed right away, you idiot. Do you have any thoughts?
Just that I'm an idiot, really. That's the main one. I will say I went through about, 10 different teams and why they don't make sense. And I didn't think of a small market contender. That was like the one area we didn't touch. We talked about bad teams and how we wouldn't go there. And we talked about all the big teams, the big market teams. The Diamondbacks got me, and I'm an idiot forever, and that stinks.
And you know what's crazy is that deal, I mean, for him, it's whatever. I mean, you gotta go out and just do this again next year. But like you said, a small market contender kind of does make a ton of sense. Like the D-backs, they kind of they might have won the offseason with one move. Like they filled like the only need that they needed. They've been fine. They're gonna be on the fringe with the Giants to make it into the wild card. Like it's an awesome move for them, and I don't think they're getting credit for it. I think the only conversation around it has just been like criticizing owners and how ugly this is, and like rightfully so. But there's a part of it to me too that's, I don't know, wants to congratulate the Diamondbacks a little bit. But from a Red Sox perspective, it blows. It really
not good, Joey. It's not good, Joey.
No, I would say not good. But here's the thing. Honestly, if they did give him this exact contract, they gave him 1 year, $25 million with, I mean, the vesting option's weird because like he can opt out of the contract if he makes 10 starts. So he's going to opt out. So it's essentially 1 year, or if he stinks, a second year.
Yeah.
Which might sound really familiar. That's kind of what we just gave to Lucas Giolito, minus like the vesting component. But I wouldn't have been too stoked. Like this is not the kind of deal that like I'm sitting here shaking my fist. Like the AAV is something that I'm shaking my fist at a little bit, but a 1 year, maybe two if he sucks deal, like that doesn't move the needle at all for this team.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think it's just the fact that 2024 doesn't matter. It feels like already, which stinks. We can't wait to hear a preview though later, obviously, because that's important. But other than that, I mean, we're not even trying. So that just, proves that more than anything, that if we could have just given him a little bit of money, although it goes over the luxury tax and we're punting. So that would be the other thing.
Yeah, I mean, for all the bitching that we've done this offseason about them spending, I would be furious if they went over the luxury tax right now for absolutely no reason. Just give themselves penalties for absolutely no reason, just so they can cry poor in another year or two. I would have lost my fucking mind.
In a way, we don't want him. So good thing we didn't get him. Yeah, that's
there we go. We never even wanted that, dude. Can you imagine anything I've ever the luxury tax?
No, that's the most important thing in baseball. Name a team that's gone over and done well.
I can't think of one. Everyone knows if you spend too much money, your owners get sad, and you don't want that.
It's good to have homegrown players. It's good for morale. You don't need good players or marquee talent. You don't need jersey sales. You need just homegrown, drafted guys that played together in AA, played together in AAA. That's why the entire future of this team is on AA right now, including Noah Song for 1 minute until he had Tommy John surgery.
That did also happen. But I mean, I don't even know at what point you can call Noah Song homegrown, because he's been overseas. Where was he for 5 minutes in the Rule 5? He got picked up the Phillies, right? Yeah, because the whole Dombrowski thing, people lost their minds over that. And then he came back, and now he needs Tommy John. What a fun little development there. Those are the kind of pitchers you want in your hometown. That's why this team is all homegrown. Trevor Story, Vaughn Grissom, Masataka Yoshida, Tyler O'Neill. The core of this team.
Devers.
Rafael Devers.
He's a real one.
When was the actual last time that a pitcher, I mean, was it Clay? It's probably Clay, right?
Clay.
It's Clay. Yeah. It's not even worth looking beyond that. I mean, it's Clay.
That's the correct answer.
Yeah. But I mean, in looking at this deal, in the Monty deal, there is like a few avenues that I can't help but think about. Like, would 5 years, 6 years for like 120 million, like a 20 million AAV for like a mid-range contract in terms of length? Like, do you think that was on their radar at all? Like, do you think that's something that they talked about? Is that a deal that Jordan Montgomery turns down and really believes that he can get next year? Because in my mind, like looking at how the market is right now, if I was a player, I would think like it's probably not going to change in 1 year's time. So in my mind, if the Sox put anything like that on the table, if any team put something like that on the table, he probably would have just taken it. I might be wrong, but that's where I land. That like if that was there, he would have taken it. And I don't know why the Sox wouldn't push for something like that does keep them under the luxury tax for this year, locks him up for a little bit of time. That's the only thing I can pull away from this that like actually has me a little confused. But I don't know. I mean, it's a lot of speculation and thinking. But like, do you think that was something that they approached?
I think that's something that in the beginning of the offseason he would have scoffed at probably. But I think really the thing that really screwed us was that we signed Giolito relatively not early on, but I guess in the middle of the offseason. If we had not done that, then they could have stayed. They basically gave them the Montgomery money. It's only what, $5 million more. Now, obviously, at that point in time, I'm sure he was asking for a lot more. But if you didn't do the Giolito thing, and obviously they had no idea he was going to explode, they could have given him, like you said, 5, 6, 120 million or something like that around now, and he probably does that. He might have gotten to a point where he was just so unhappy that it was just like, like you said, take it 1 year, try it again next year. I don't know how much he's looking forward to the free agent process again. Call me crazy. I feel like he probably wouldn't be too excited to run this back.
Probably not. And like in thinking about how much they talked about or how much was made of, his wife living in Boston and all that, and not wanting to like uproot their lives and move wherever. Like now he's in a position where he has to move again in a year, 2 maximum. Like that just seems weird to me. And I don't think that he would have taken a 1-year deal, which is essentially a 1-year deal, if there was anything longer term on the table. But maybe I'm wrong there. It's just, I don't know. It sucks because like this guy, I don't know, he deserved it. This was the time. This is when it's supposed to happen. This is when you're supposed to get the big deal. He's won the fucking World Series.
Yeah, he was the guy, and he was great all season. And the thing about him is he checked off all those like intangibles that people like to talk about in terms of like he had a good first like half with the Cardinals, but then when he got traded to a contender, he got better every single week. He helped them get to the World Series, and then he dominated in the World Series and the whole postseason. He like if you look at his numbers, it's like he had like a 3-4 or something like that with the Cardinals, and then he had like a 2 tie 2 at the end. Last half of the year, and then he was even better. I think he had like 2.93 in the postseason or something. I don't know. I wrote that a long time ago, quite frequently, but it's somewhere in that range. And I feel like he had the, he's a lefty. He was consistent, unlike a lot of the people in this this free agent class. The biggest thing with most of these guys is that they were Bellinger types, Chapman, like, oh, good year, but it was a lot of bad years before it. And
right.
Snell gives you a 4 ERA, gives you a 1.80 ERA. You don't know what he is. This guy, you knew exactly what he was, and he was just a good player.
And a guy who, yeah, like you said, availability too seems like the biggest thing that comes up. It's like just getting starts from guys, and he wasn't a question there either. And it's just, I don't know what the holdup was on him. If it wasn't collusion, I don't know what it was. If Major League Baseball owners all got together and decided we're not paying this offseason. If they didn't, or if they did do that, they've done a terrible terrible job of hiding it. Like, this is the most blatant. Like, we all had a meeting and we decided like we're just not going to. That I've ever seen.
That's
Minus
all.
that one team.
That's all. Yeah, good point. They weren't at the meeting. They missed a Zoom call. And they had no idea.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, that stuff is way over. I don't do the. I have no idea. Like on that, that feels like a conspiracy theory that we'll never
Oh, it
know
is.
the
Oh, it
answer
is.
to. But I will say, I mean, at least for the Red Sox, we did go durability route. We got Giolito. He's a guy that makes 30 starts every single year, and so we still got our guy. So that's good.
Scott, I know you write a lot, dude.
Yeah, a ton daily.
I know. You got your nose in the books.
I don't miss
You're down
anything.
at the library all the time, writing, reading.
Yeah, which is weird because I don't need to do that. I have Wi-Fi.
But you do it anyway for the love of the
Yeah.
game. I want you to Google a couple of words for me.
Okay.
The words are Lucas Giolito.
Okay. How do you spell that?
Giolito. And then at the top, it's
No, the
Lucas
first
with a C. Lucas with a C.
C. That was. Thank you.
Yep. And then
Yeah.
you're going to see a tab that says news. The top. Click that.
Oh,
The
yeah.
news.
That's, by the way, everybody click that because that's where I am.
Mm-hmm. Seen anything? You seen anything yet? Seen anything yet?
Yeah, he got. It looks like he doesn't play baseball this year. Oh, he finalized a 2-year, $38.5 million. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, see, we got him, locked him up.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm seeing a little bit of weird stuff about this UCL surgery.
Scott, he's not pitching this year, man. He's not pitching this year.
Sound like that
The
big
whole
of a
year.
deal. Couldn't be that big of a deal, right?
The whole year, dude. He's not pitching the whole year. He's out till 2025. He's out the whole year, man.
Well, unless we make the postseason, surely he could be back for the postseason with an injury.
You know what? I don't think he would be, and I also don't think they're going to. So, two birds, one stone. Yeah,
that's a big blow. We should have got somebody else then.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, and they didn't is the thing.
Well, no, they got Liam Hendricks like right after. So at least what we did was we bolstered the bullpen so that it kind of like allowed us to pitch Whitlock and Houck and guys like that. So it's like, in a way, like I get what you're saying. You'd rather the starter. I get that. But if you move Whitlock into the rotation, yeah, go ahead, Joey.
Scott,
So I gotta Google something.
I need you to Google a couple words for me.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I want you to Google Liam, Liam. Okay.
Thank you.
Hendricks, I'm actually not sure. I think it's Hendriks. Hendricks. Again, that news tab at the top is going to be your friend. You're going to want to click that.
Yeah.
Click it. Give it a click. Give it a click.
It says Australian baseball player. I'd assume that's the one.
He's Australian. Yeah.
It's that funky little accent he's got going on there.
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you see?
Yeah, I mean, again, Boston signed injured all-star closer Liam Hendricks.
Injured. Don't gloss over, dude. He's injured.
Contract.
He's not pitching.
Well, yeah, I mean, Grissom's got a little tweak, and we got some.
These guys are not playing, dude. These guys are not playing. The team.
I know they're not playing. They're gonna. Well, they got on the injured list, and then they, go to a little extended camp, throw a couple balls, and then
they're
they
simply
pitch
not playing this year. They're not playing.
You're telling me right now that Craig Breslow came in here and he just said, I'm going to get a bunch of players that are hurt. After his big guy got hurt. There can't be any more of those.
And then,
so they got.
So remember that lefty in the bullpen, the one lefty that we had?
I talking about Chris Murphy?
I'm talking about Chris Murphy. I'm talking about him.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah, but we have Michael Fulmer, so he can kind of just fill that gap.
Dude, you're gonna want to go to Google. Open Google for me real quick.
I already got the name typed in.
Yeah. What are you seeing?
Former
did you click the news tab? Click the
signs deal.
Mm-hmm. Keep reading.
Hold on, I got an idea.
Yeah, keep going.
I know a really good writer. Let me type in. Maybe if I type in my name.
You're gonna read McAdams.
No, it wasn't the plan.
Spears really good.
Spear, he's really good, but he's kind of old now, so it's kind of my time.
That old.
Apparently
he's not that old.
Yeah.
It's an old man's game.
Yeah, well, I'm 24, so I think everybody's old.
Yeah, I don't like being the old guy on the podcast now.
Okay,
What do you
Red
think?
Sox taking chance on former All-Star Rookie of the Year to add depth. I like that. I like that a lot.
I would keep reading.
Hmm
Mm-hmm.
He had UCL revision surgery in March. Okay, big whoop.
Yeah.
So likely be out all of 2024. What is going on? What are you
24.
doing?
Yeah, so the players, we lost a couple of them. Chris Sale, Alex Verdugo.
Man.
Yeah. And then the guys that are new aren't really playing.
Can't
So
play. Yeah.
yeah, they'll play next year, maybe, probably not. But how much spring training did you watch? Did you watch these guys? Because it seems like
I was locked in. I didn't miss a thing.
you every second of every game.
I don't think I missed a single transaction. I think I know everything about the incoming guys, the outgoing guys.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know. I might have gone
did
to
you
the bathroom at some point, but I usually try to wait till commercial breaks. So maybe I missed a pitch.
Yeah, I try to pause it. I pause it during the commercials, and then
Yeah.
I'll fast forward it between pitches when I come back.
Yeah.
Man, I loved watching every second of spring training. Do you see that one play that David Hamilton made?
No, I wasn't really paying attention. and
That's
I
the
probably
one
didn't see
you
it.
missed that one.
Well, because I only saw like a game or two, maybe 10.
Yeah,
I don't think I watched one full. I watched the Dominican series there.
I mean, I think I legitimately watched like 3 or 4 games.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it. But the thing is, that's why we have our guest today, is because this guy did watch spring training. This guy went to spring training. You might have seen his stuff. It was doing some numbers. So we should just talk to him about spring training and ask him about Tristan Casas cannibalizing his team. Obviously, that's a big part of why he's here. So let's toss it over now. Here's a sit down with our good friend, Sammy James. But first, a word from our good friends over at Prize Picks.
Football season may be over, but the action on the floor is heating up. Whether it's a tournament season or the fight for a playoff home court, there's no shortage of high-stakes basketball moments this time of year. Get in on the excitement with Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app, where you can turn your hoops knowledge into serious cash. Testing my skills on Prize Picks this season is the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $1,000 with just a few taps. Prize Picks is really simple to play, and I can make my picks and submit my entry in less than 60 seconds. Download the app today and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Use the code CLNS for the first deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy.
All right, we are joined by viral sensation, co-host of Odyssey's Playtesty podcast. You know him, you love him, Sammy James, ladies and gentlemen. Sammy, how we doing?
Viral sensation. Wow.
Yeah,
I'm doing well, man. Thanks for asking.
Dude, I asked you to come on the show before your guys' video was popping off everywhere. But like now that has to be like the primary thing. That has to be the first thing we ask you about.
Yeah, I actually, when you asked me, I figured like maybe we get something good in spring training and we have something to talk about. And it's actually funny. So I'll take you through what happened with Casas. I was on the field with Gordo and Bradfo, and we were speaking with Tyler O'Neill about potentially doing something later on. So Gordo and I, right off the bat, were like, oh, sweet, we'll get Tyler O'Neill. That's a good start. And then Casas is taking BP in the turtle, the big batting cage looking thing, so he doesn't smoke anyone. And then he starts walking over to us, and I forget who asked him to come over and chat, but one of us was like, Hey, Tristan, do you want to come chat with us? All coy and weird. And he was super nice about it. And beforehand, Gordo and I had like a list of questions, like things we potentially wanted to talk about. And I think we all agree, like when you're reading off a list, it does not make for very good content. And we've made that mistake before. So Gordo sat down with Casas first, and they're talking. And I'm kind of like, I'm pretty anxious at this point. Like I'm like a little like jittery, like, oh my God, I hope I have a good question for this guy. It's Casas. I didn't think we'd get him. And at the bottom of the list was the island question. So I said, okay, maybe this one's a little bit weird. Casas is a weird dude. Maybe this will turn into something good. So I ask him the question, and he just gifts me the greatest response I could have imagined. And you can kind of hear me in the background, like I totally cracked. Like I was like crying, laughing, partially like nerves, like, oh my God, we got a good answer. And partially like genuine laughing. But man,
the fact that he held it together, the fact that he's not dying laughing at his own question is what makes it so good. Like the fact that he holds a straight ass face and looks into the camera, like through the mirrored glasses. Like, I bet he would be tasty. I bet he would be delicious. Unbelievable.
There's one point right after he says the thing about food. You hear me like kind of losing my mind in the background, and you see Costas like bite his lip, trying not to laugh. He goes like, he wanted.
Dude, he's not just a quote machine. He's a comedian. Like he knows how funny that is. That's awesome.
Yeah, I think that was the first time I saw that he was definitively not just a weird guy and was giving a weird answer on purpose to be funny. That was probably the first answer where I was like, okay, this guy knows. Maybe he's leaning into this a little bit more than I thought he was.
For sure. Yeah.
People call him a weirdo. I think he's more like us than any other ball player. I think he's weird for a baseball player, but I think he's like a funny guy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what I think the vibe I get from him, and I've only interacted with him at this point 2 to 3 times, and it's been very brief every time. It seems like he has a huge personality and he really wants to come out of his shell, but he's a Major League Baseball player. So he's got to abide by all these rules and everything. You guys know how it goes, but maybe slowly but surely, as he gets more veteran in the league, he'll start to come out of his shell like he did with the island question.
Yeah, I mean, like that's what spring training is for. It's for grade A, unfiltered fucking around.
Yeah,
it's like I find it really hard to care about. Garrett Whitlock has a new sweeper, and like that's cool. Like I hope that works out. But like checking in on Connor Wong's ground ball rate in spring training is just not going to get the juices flowing. Like I want to see that. I want to see the fellas dick around. You got another really good one that was. Didn't get as much. I mean, maybe it did. It didn't get, Mego asking Cora on EEI traction, which they did with the island question, in case you guys haven't seen that at home, which was crazy. Cora hadn't heard it yet. Like that was his intro. I'm assuming you've seen that clip, right?
Yeah, I've seen it. We actually DM'd Cora after. Gordo DM'd Cora because they're buddies. And Cora cracked up. He loved it. He thought it was a funny clip.
It's so funny how different like they are. Just to think of him, like, I don't know, Cora trying to lead. Not trying, leading.
Yeah, player, former player. I feel like he gets it. He knows like in that clip with Jones and Mego, he just loses his mind immediately because he's probably seen that side of Costas before. So he's thinking maybe, he's starting to come out of his shell a little bit. He's trying to eat my leadoff hitter now. Wild. Loved it.
The other clip, though, that I think should be getting more love. I mean, I don't know. I haven't checked the numbers. I don't check in to just like see how the stats are doing. So it might be in a similar ballpark virality wise. Was the Liam Hendricks one, dude?
I was gonna say that. Yeah, that one I saw like 2 hours ago.
Posted another
the
one.
Vegemite one. Was there another one?
Yeah.
Oh, I was talking about the spider one.
Ah, okay. So
spider.
Yeah, it's funny. He within 30 seconds of meeting me called me a dipshit, and I loved it.
That's awesome.
He's like, you dipshits don't know how to use Vegemite the right way. And I was like, how do you use it, Liam? Tell me more. And he was that was my my favorite interview to conduct because it was the one where I felt I wasn't scripted. I was just going back and forth with him. And we have, I think, 3 clips from that one, the Vegemite, the spider one, and then we have one coming out. I'll give you guys a sneak peek where I do an Australian accent for him, and he just rips it to shreds. He's like, no.
Really?
We'll do it.
I was just about to say you did it good.
Yeah, everybody.
He did it good for us, but
that's true.
Got it.
He said I was doing a Kiwi accent because it's too nasally. So I need to make
Well, you know what? In fairness, if you did a New Zealand accent and an Australian accent back to back, I certainly couldn't pick them out.
No way. But this guy just like right away, no, wrong. And so that'll come out eventually, probably after opening day. But he's a character. And shout out to Chris Murphy for organizing that one. I made a comment about Liam, and Chris Murphy was like, Liam, come over here, do an interview.
Oh, that's awesome.
He was like, "Who
That's
are these
awesome.
folks?"
You know what? That's fair, actually, thinking more on like the accent thing, because I'm hypercritical of it in movie, like Boston accents in
Oh.
movies and whatever. Like even when critics are like, "Oh, he nailed it." Like you ever see those voice coach videos where like someone will analyze like accents in a movie and they're like, "Oh, he actually nailed that perfectly." Like I've never heard anybody outside of like, someone who's born here do it right, even if like a vocal coach says they are. So like I guess I get that. But let me tell you, from a non-Aussie here, I think you have an awesome Australian accent.
Well, thanks, man. Appreciate it. Just Skeet Hagan. You know who did a good Boston accent? Kind of. Not great. There were some moments where it sounded bad. I thought Johnny Depp was pretty good in Black Bass. If you've seen that. The
Oh
Whitey
yeah.
Bulger.
The thing
Solid.
with Johnny Depp is like he's not anyone. He's just whoever he's playing. So like the fact that you're reminding me that is not Whitey Bulger, like just took me like, yeah, that was Johnny Depp underneath that.
He really, I wouldn't recognize, and this is weird, I don't think I would recognize Johnny Depp if I ran into him in person, because he, like you said, he like transforms into whoever he's playing. Oh,
he's faceless. Absolutely faceless.
What's his name? Jeremy Renner. He was good in The Town. His Boston accent.
Yeah. But is he not from here?
No, he's not, and he did better than Ben Affleck, in my opinion, accent-wise.
That's crazy. Yeah, I just assumed he was from here. Like the "Whose car are we taking?"
Yeah,
like that's iconic.
What a quote. That whole movie is like a cartoonish version of Boston, but I want people to think that that's what we're actually like, because it makes me feel cool about myself. So yeah, if anyone's asking, The Town, that's how I grew up, man. I had to rob banks.
Yeah, bro, it was tough out there on those streets. The thing is, Charlestown, I think like the average rent for a 1-bedroom apartment in Charlestown is like $4,500. So it's simply not The Town.
Yeah, no. Where would The Town be today? Like Lawrence, somewhere. It wouldn't be in Charleston.
Yeah, it'd be like Lowell. It wouldn't be.
Yeah.
A Boston movie about like Methuen 7-Eleven robberies doesn't exactly like move the needle quite as much.
He just stole a pack of Zins, kid. We were robbing the
it's just that. It's just putting on a ski mask and doing that.
Cathedral of Methuen.
Are these your first player interactions that you're having? Because like, when did Play Tessie kick up? And also, I mean, I'm also interested to know. I don't know the story of how it started.
Okay, so I'll answer both. It's my first baseball player interactions. I used to cover mixed martial arts at the Globe. So like when the UFC was in town, I would go interview their athletes. And I also, my full-time job is I work with mixed martial artists at a different company now. And sometimes I do like internal interviews with them, so our website can write articles about them. So I have interviewed athletes, but from a wildly different sport. And that was my first in-person baseball interview. So kind of yes, kind of no. As for Play Tessie, how did it start? So basically, I did a lot of those shitty fake trades on Twitter where I'd be like, would you trade this guy for that guy? And everyone's like, you're an idiot, Sammy. You suck at this.
Who says no?
Yeah, who says no? So then I met Bradfo in a weird encounter where like I ran to Fenway because he caught a Jalen Beeks batting practice ball and I wanted the ball and I was like bored. So he thought that was funny. He asked me to come on the show to do a trade, like a fake trade. And Scott, actually, when you said, I listened to the first episode with you on it and you were like, I'm having a panic attack. That's how I felt when I was doing the podcast. And I think I ripped like 2 nips of just vodka because I was so like, my heart was like, I'm like, my palms are sweating, just gross. I was just a mess. So I go on, I do the trade. It got a pretty good reaction from people who listened. And then Bradfo was like, hey, we got a few guys who did this. Would you want to come back again and like make it, like do a show with multiple people? So we did that a few times. And then he turned over, basically he got rid of the Bradfo show. And now he's doing, which was a Red Sox mostly show. And now he's doing Baseballs and Boring, which is a more national baseball show, a little focus on the Red Sox, but that's just natural. And the guys who did the Who Says No, me, Gordo, Pat, and Coop, started Play Tessie. And yeah, we've just been doing it consistently for, I don't even know how long, the start of the end of the season last year. I should probably know that, but we've been doing it for a long time. We do it 3 times a week. And yeah, it's been fun. I never thought people would listen to my Red Sox takes. I'm just so like ADHD, and I always want to talk about the Red Sox and get my takes out there. And now I have a platform. It's kind of like therapeutic. So yeah, it's kind of how it came to be.
That's awesome, man. I'll tell you, I've been listening 3 times. Were you guys? I mean, I only have so much time, so many hours in the week, so I can't say I've listened to every single episode. I'd just be lying to your face, and I'm not going to do that. But are you guys dropping 3 a week this off season?
Yeah, you haven't listened to all 57 episodes during this riveting off season?
Hey, listen, man. I think I've caught about 49. I'm so sorry. I've done as much as I can. I do my research here. I listen to everybody as much as I possibly can. I'm so sorry. I fell just a little short.
No, we appreciate you
listening. I've been listening to him on double speed right before you came on.
Beautiful. I'll take it. That's still a view. We did a 15-minute segment on what signing Lucas Litke meant one time. So there's been some tough ones where we've kind of had to get creative with what we talk about. Like at the beginning of the offseason, I remember I said this. I was saying like, this is a great time to start a podcast because the Red Sox are about to go nuts, getting all these pitchers. They're going to be in on Yamamoto, maybe even Ohtani. They're going to get a bat, blah, 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 blah. And they did fucking nothing. So
none of that.
Diddly.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. And I gave this speech to Scott too, in terms of like, getting him on here. Cause like it's a very weird time to be a Red Sox show. And there have been advertisers that, will see our downloads and will be like, Red Sox show, not interested. And it's like, why should that matter? Like, we're showing you like the numbers we do. Does that not enough? Yeah. And the very name of the Boston Red Sox scares people away right now. And that's tough. But
you had a poor negotiator last year for that kind of stuff, to be fair.
Yeah, that guy sucked. That guy absolutely sucked.
It wasn't his priority. I mean, he just didn't care,
I'm glad that guy is in our past and we have an owner who cares now.
Yeah, because I don't know, he got a lot of emails and those weren't, if he answered, he answered. Who knows what was in there? Could have been a lot of
I'll never know. I'm just glad that chapter is fucking behind me, dude.
Probably why Steve's gone, if I had to guess, if that guy would answer a couple more emails, but
that might have been the problem. But speaking of Steve, like it stinks to say out loud, but it is the truth that like Section 10 laid the groundwork for like all of these Red Sox shows, right? Like it was the model that like everybody saw laid out. And when you think about them starting in 15, 16, and then being rolling when 17 and 18 came, like I think that played in their favor like crazy. Like if they had started Section 10 at the beginning of 2018, they're not Section 10. Like it's not rolling like that. And I think, for ITM, for Playtessie, for all the other, relatively newer shows out there, getting in at the ground floor and having a core base that listens now, I think matters so much. Because this, if you're listening to a Red Sox podcast now, first of all, you're fucking sick in the head.
You're crazy.
And we love you for it. Like that's who matters the most. That's the top of the pyramid. So like 5 years from now, when you and I are standing at the parade and we're doing, this massive crossover show of all 58 Red Sox podcasts that are out there, like, I think that core base that's there from the beginning, from the dirty days, that's who matters the most. And that's who's like going to carry you there. But I'm stoked on what you guys have done. I really have listened. I think you guys have been doing awesome stuff there. And the spring training stuff really just sent it over the top.
Yeah.
Was that your first time at spring training in general?
First time at Red Sox spring training. I used to go visit my grandparents in Florida. We'd go to Marlins and Cardinals. So it was like cool. But that was my first time being at Red Sox spring training in Fort Myers. And also, obviously, the first time having access like that. It's funny. I listened to the first show, like I said, let me go back. I listened to Steve's last show the day before I went to Fort Myers, which was a terrible, terrible idea because you guys made me so nervous talking about how you guys were like really anxious to go. And I'm listening to it. I'm walking down the street. I'm like, fuck, this is going to be me tomorrow. And my heart starts beating. I'm like, I should stop listening. I want to hear this last episode. But man, I needed that. I am so locked in with this team. It's like a sickness. Like I can't stop following the Red Sox, even if I want to. Even if I miss a game, I'm still going to know everything that happened because that's just how my brain works. And like I said, it's a sickness. So to be surrounded by all this negativity all offseason long in New England about the Red Sox, to get to Fort Myers and just see how positive those guys are. They don't give a fuck about what we're saying about the team. They believe in each other. They've got talent down there. And I'm not saying they're going to win 90 games and make the playoffs and go on a deep run. I just needed some positive vibes. And it was, I'll use the same term, therapeutic to be down there and just see all those guys. And I'm so ready to go for tomorrow or today if you're listening.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not like deluded enough to think they're going to have some crazy 2013 like season, but I could see some upside playing in, like an 82 win. That was my prediction today, 82 wins. So it's good to see.
I mean, Cora said the vibes are trophy worthy, right? Or he said if they gave a trophy for vibes, you'd be right in the mix.
So hopefully they switch the rules up a little bit. That'd be sick.
Yeah,
I mean it's not a bad idea to introduce.
Yeah, you get a vibe cup, and it counts as half a World Series. But
home run celebration is the main thing. Like that's how you win World Series.
Yeah, if you win, Orioles would like crush everybody.
Yeah, that's true.
When I got there right away, funny story. We told this briefly on a show, but they did that catching competition. I'm sure you guys have seen it, where it was basically all the catchers from like AAA to the majors, maybe some AA guys too. And they just had someone throwing balls that would like bounce right in front of them, but they had air horns and they were blowing them at the catchers, and they had pool noodles and they were hitting the catchers while they were trying to catch it. And all the guys were in a great mood. And Gordo and I are standing watching. We're watching this catching competition go on, and we're both just, cheesing it up like, oh my God, this is so cool. This is so cool. And we're standing behind left field. So like we're outside of the ballpark. The wall in left field is like to our left, and the Orioles are taking batting practice, and somebody hit a like 400-foot rocket, and it just missed Gordo by literally, I think it actually did hit him. It nicked him on the back by like this much, which would have very easily concussed him and ended our trip early because it was a rocket. And Trevor Story sees it. And Trevor, who's like the leader now, goes like, whoa, guys. He runs inside the clubhouse, comes back out with his glove, and he's like playing goalie, like blocking any home runs that come from like hitting mostly the Red Sox players, but like I guess us too. And it was just really cool to see just how these guys they're so human. And I feel like we forget that sometimes. And yeah, I mean, I'll say it again. It was just so therapeutic to see how positive the vibes were down there. So I hope it carries over. I hope they don't have a nightmarish start.
I don't think
West Coast trip, that'll be a good way to go at it. But I will say, just having did you have access at all last year, or are you just starting with that this year?
No, the only access we had was like we would hit up players, and sometimes they would come on the pod. We got like Bernardino to come on, Zach Kelly, who's the man. You guys should have Zach Kelly on the show. He's a hoot. Same with Chris Murphy. So it was those three guys. And then, this is when we really got our first like legitimate access to the team, which was cool.
Yeah. And, I was just gonna say like what's great about it for you is that you can just be on the field now. Like even if they stink like they did last year, like it was just cool to be on the field before the game. Like I know I've seen Coop on the field before the game. I know he was there, but like for you personally, just like that was, even when they stunk, like that was cool. Like obviously getting player interviews on Zooms and everything is cool, but like it just raises the vibes a little bit to watch. Like if you love baseball, watch BP on the field, and it's just like a cool experience.
It's great. And our goal, aside from getting content, was to kind of show the Red Sox, like, look, we are fans of the team. We're not here to fuck you over. We're not going to make you look bad. We're not going to do anything. And I work in PR, so I understand like what you should and shouldn't say. And I think that helped us. Not that like I'm not the secret to success or anything, but I think that my background helped here. And we just want to make it clear, like we're here to make content to make the team look good, and most of all, humanize these guys, like you saw with Casas. He's funny. You get a sense of humor from him, and then we go up to Duran and give him a chance to respond, and he's like, I would kill Tristan. He couldn't eat me. Like I would fight him, and it was just great. So I'm hoping we made a good impression and it carries over into the regular season.
I think the guys are finally starting to understand the difference between the old school beat writers and the Dan Shaughnessy's and the podcast. realm, because at first it was like, for the early days of ITM, there was a bit of convincing to tell guys like, hey, look, we've had your teammates on the show and look what we made with them. We're just goofing off. We're just having fun. And even then, 2 years ago, guys were still like, let me think about it. I'll let you know. And it makes sense as to why, because they're told by all the PR guys that, just say this, just say I did my best, and it's all about winning, and it's about the team, and just want to go out there and play our best ball, and hopefully a couple bounces go our way. Like they're supposed to say that. So the fact that they're opening up it's great for us, obviously, but it's also just good. Fans want to see it. Fans want to have a connection with those guys. I think Tristan Cassis is going to be like the face of this team very, very soon.
He's wild. I think it's all about making it very clear to not just the players, but the Red Sox that we are here. It's like the podcasting space, us, you guys, Section 10, every Red Sox podcast. We're here. Well, not every. Most Red Sox podcasts, we're here to elevate these guys. We don't want to knock them down. We're fans. We're not traditional media. We're not going to write a hit piece. That brings us no joy. And we don't get paid any extra to do that. So why would we want to? We're not going to. But I don't. No. On the other side, I understand why they'd be a little bit guarded. You're in Boston. You say anything wrong and you're under a microscope, and then it's just coming at you from all directions. So it's just like, for me, my amateur opinion, it's just about building that relationship slowly, building trust, and who knows what happens from there.
Sammy, would love you to plug where people can follow you, where people can follow Play Tessie, and what you guys got in store for the season. Do you guys have any plans, anything that you guys are announcing, anything to tease, anything like that?
We do. I'll give you a little teaser. We're getting an intro, finally.
Ayo.
Yeah. I don't know when that'll be ready, but yeah, we're getting an intro. You can follow me at HeebHammer94 on Twitter. Get a Play Tessie on Twitter and Instagram. We're also on YouTube on the EEI account. Like and subscribe. You can, I always say this, if you want to roast me, go ahead. I had a guy roast me, call me like an idiot and sycophantic something. I don't know. It was great. I loved it. I was like,
when at you. Jesus.
Yeah, it was great. So yeah, follow us. And yeah, we'll keep the content coming. Hopefully we're going to have similar access this season, more player interviews. We're going to do some man on the street stuff, go up to Red Sox fans. And that's always interesting, especially this year. I'm sure we'll get some banger quotes from diehard fans who have great things to say about the team. Yeah, we'll keep providing.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll be positive stuff only.
Yes, like
especially
that.
Yeah.
You guys see that?
I don't think so.
Again?
Oh my God, the NBC news bit.
Oh yes. Yeah, where people are like, I didn't even know they were starting up again.
Yeah.
Holy
I think
shit.
though that could happen any year where you're just taking a guy that's around Fenway and just being like, I don't know baseball. So I don't know. That was kind of weird to me. I feel like it's the same as last year.
Yeah, it's also like a reflection of like, it's the Fenway neighborhood. That's not like Red Sox game day crowd. So
you don't live based on your fandom. It's not like all the basketball guys are by the Garden. Like that's just not how you just have jobs, just like everything else. So I thought that was a little weird to just like pick apart random people. That an accountant that's just on his way to work and there for that reason.
That's the thing is like, if you live anywhere in downtown Boston, you have a 6-figure finance job. So like, are you glued to Red Sox spring training after 2 last places? No, you're not. So like, I don't know. It wasn't eye-opening to me, but it was funny that like, I don't know. It also made me agree with John Tomasi, which I wasn't a fan of. The second I saw that, I'm like, don't make me agree with him right now. And they definitely did.
Yeah, it would have been good if some guy was like, I really like that Richard Fitz guy. I think he's got upside. He could really do
Yeah, people are not out there talking about Willie Abreu having a breakout season. It's just not. Yeah. It's just not happening.
Willie, we call him Thick Willie.
Thick Willie.
Okay.
Hell yeah!
We
All right.
Take that. Yeah,
we're still using that.
Yeah,
please. We'll steal it with credit, but we're using it over here.
We'll grow it together.
Sammy, we appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much. We'll have you back on at some point whenever you're around. But yeah, big thanks for coming on, man, and we'll keep in touch.
Absolutely. I'll see you guys at Fenway.
Big thanks to Sammy James. What a great conversation that was.
That was my favorite conversation I've ever had.
That was really good. because
Remember the time?
after the interview.
Of course.
So
We know what happened, so we would tell you, but you already heard it. So
yeah,
what
what
even
was
bother?
your favorite part, you think? What was your favorite part?
I mean, oh God, what probably the part where he was like talking about the Red Sox and how I will say that story he had was unexpected. I'll leave it at that. I didn't see that coming.
It was
Yeah,
really
it was disgusting, vile, even. Yeah, to use a couple words.
Oh man. Okay, well, thank you, Sam, for a good or bad conversation. We definitely remember it because it's in the past. We haven't waited to record it after this episode. Now, this is technically our series or season prediction episode, so we should probably get to those. We do have a list of things that we're going to be going through, meandering about here for the rest of the show. So let's just get to them. We're going to be writing these down, revisiting them. And the thing is, we say that every year. Every podcast says that every year.
Don't do it.
If there's one thing I am, it is meticulous. Maybe. I don't know. It could be a bunch of things. But for the sake of this, it's meticulous. These are going to be coming up. So I hope you put a lot of thought and energy into these because this is going to matter all year. Maybe we can make it a little interesting behind the scenes. You think I want to make it a little interesting behind the scenes?
We made a $10,000 bet on who's more right.
That's what I was thinking. 10 bills. What is that called? A rack?
10 racks, yeah.
It'd be 10 rack. I thought 10,000 is one rack.
I thought 1,000 was a rack, but I'm not.
I think that's a band.
This is gonna surprise. This is gonna surprise you, but that's not a typical part of my vocabulary. So
No?
I could be wrong. That's
You
when
don't
I'm
walk into the dealership and be like, "Yo, here's 10 racks. Give me the biggest Lambo you got." That's not something you say?
That's no. I said I would like to take a loan, please.
It doesn't sound like you. That doesn't sound like something you'd say.
It wasn't. No. I was kidding.
Biggest surprise, our first category in the 2024 Major League Baseball Boston Red Sox season predictions. Biggest surprise. Scotty Neves, what do you got? Biggest surprise.
This shouldn't be that much of a surprise, but based on like the way people act about this player, I think Trevor Story is going to be good at baseball this year. And I know that's something that people don't like to say, but he looks good right now. And I think if he just didn't strike out every at bat, that'd be really, really cool. And it looks like he's not doing that right now. And spring training obviously is important, and those stats should be just carried over right into the season. That's how that works. Also, he's finally healthy, and I'm sure that he'll just stop getting hurt. So I think Trevor's Story is going to be, I don't want to say all-star level, but I think he'll be like top 3 player on the team consistently, playing obviously great, steady defense. I think he actually plays some games, maybe 145 plus. And I think he's going to hit not necessarily like 280, or maybe 250, where it's like it's a respectable average, and maybe 25 bombs, and we end up being like, that's kind of what we signed up for.
I think the thing with Story this year is he holds the most power to make or break this team, I think, of anybody, because you're relying on him so much to be that right-handed bat, behind Devers and breaking up him and Cassis and whatever, and being like that strong right-handed bat. It's funny because like you hoped to get that from him when you signed him. And then this whole offseason, people have been like, well, who's going to be the right-handed bat near the top of the order? It's like we're supposed to have him. Yeah, like I know he hasn't been that, but that is who he's supposed to be. And on the other hand, if this is not a big year from Story, there's like some big conversations around this contract that really, really pick up some steam, because the first 2 years, not a lot to look at, not a lot there. And if it becomes 3 years of nothing, you got a problem on your hands. So a lot riding on Story. I would love to see a Trevor Story breakout year, and there's no reason that he shouldn't. I know I hate to bring that phrase back because like that's what everyone said about Chris Sale. Everybody would always say, if there's no reason that he can't make 30 starts this year. He had a full spring training. He blah, blah, blah. But there it is. There's no reason that Trevor Story can't have a big year this year. I'm going with Masataka Yoshida. And Goose agrees. if there was ever a gut feeling of mine that I knew was wrong, it is the feeling that moving Masa to DH is a bad idea. Does that make any sense? Like, I have a gut feeling that shouldn't be what we do with Yoshida. But something in me is like, deep down, I feel like I'm going to be proven wrong. So because of that, this is hedging my bet. I think
Good
Yoshida,
start.
after a full year in Major League Baseball, getting used to the travel, the change in time zones, less days off, longer season, all those changes that naturally come with transitioning from Japan to the United States. On top of that, there's also just a higher demand in schedule. Poppy talked about it last week on this show. Like, there's just more stuff you got to do. There's more public facing stuff, more appearances, more team meetings, more conditioning stuff, and
primetime games.
Prime
Where you
time
get to play Sunday night, and that's like that was one of the things Ortiz mentioned on our show, by the way. Pretty cool.
on our show. David Ortiz, last episode, last week. Go look it up. Still
No,
up.
you
It's
heard.
still up there.
Yeah, we didn't get rid of it.
Nope. I don't think we're gonna either. I think we're gonna keep it.
I
Honestly,
can't imagine we would.
I don't know why we would. I don't know if there was. I don't think we've ever deleted an episode. Can't imagine why we would.
That'd be. I'm gonna say that's a bad one to choose if we're gonna start deleting episodes.
If we have to delete, yeah, it's probably not the first one. What would be?
That time you said all those slurs, probably.
Oh, I think we did
I'm
delete
sorry.
someone, actually. I think
Right.
We did delete
Okay.
one. Yeah. Yeah, the ITM Slur Fest, I think we called it.
Yeah, that was what it was called. Yeah, it was supposed to be an
That was a
annual
bad
thing, but then
idea.
it didn't
That was a
do
bad
well.
idea.
Yeah, you're not kidding.
Yeah. Hey,
We
listen,
used to be sponsored
you-
by so many people.
the name of the game is taking risks, dog. You know what I'm saying? You got to get out there. You got to put yourself out there a little bit. Just hope for the best.
And you did. You certainly did.
Who do you got as your biggest disappointment?
Yeah, I hate this one, but
Yeah.
it feels to me like the reason why this team isn't where it should be. The only problem I have with this team, they have a good outfield. They should have a good infield. Their bullpen is promising, but I'm gonna say that Whitlock and Houck are exactly what they have been, which is oft injured, close to 5 ERA guys that are just super inconsistent. And, Houck can't go through the order 3 times. Whitlock just randomly just doesn't look like himself. He's not getting swing and misses anymore. He doesn't look like the guy that was a multi-inning reliever. And at this point, I don't think you could just throw him into that role and all of a sudden his slider is good again. So, yeah, I think it's the back of the rotation. Back of the rotation.
I am in the same boat, but I'm going to specifically say Garrett Whitlock. And that sucks. I know. Like, the thing is, he's like a good old boy. Is that a bad thing? As I said it, is that a bad thing?
I don't think so at all.
Okay. I didn't know if that, I don't know. It kind of sounds
I
like
think of him just as being like, he's a huge person that has manners. That's what you just said.
Yes, that's all I mean by it. He's a Southern boy with manners. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. I would imagine that he would call me Mr. Capone if he met me. We have met, he hasn't called me that. As I say that, he
you're
just
wrong.
calls
That
me
was
Joe.
insane.
Yeah. He's been on this show too. So,
Yep.
He doesn't call me that. Calls me Joe. But nice guy. And I hate to say it, but it's like I had to. If you have to choose between Houck and Whitlock, which one of them will fit into that role? I think it's Houck. And I think in those short burst windows, I mean, we saw it in 22, like what Whitlock can do when he's cruising and like what his changeup looks like in the spring. We've seen what his sweeper looks like. I get it. Like, he can be really impressive, but I think like longevity over a whole season and just in-game longevity through a start going deep, I like the odds of Houck figuring it out more than Garrett. And I also I foresee Garrett pushing himself again. That's what he does. And I see him pitching through stuff, and I see that not going well. I'm not predicting injuries, but going through stuff and continuing to pitch, kind of something that he's done a bunch. So don't love that. Who do you got for your team MVP?
So I didn't foresee you sniping me here, especially knowing that I was going to go first for everything. But I was going to say, because I mean, obviously Devers is going to do his thing, but I was going to say Masataka Yoshida because I think
Wow.
he's going to have a bigger jump in that DH role. And you said everything I wanted to say, which was he'll have his legs under him as a DH. His ground ball rate likely won't be as low. And then the full rookie season plus off season, he had a specific off season program that Cora sent him to, be better prepared for a full MLB season. And I just think all of those factors combined. I mean, last year he hit 285 with 51 extra base hits. He had 33 doubles and 50 home runs. If you get a couple more of those over the fence, you're looking at a much, much better player. 109 OPS plus in his first year. If that jumps to, 125, 130, we're talking about like an elite offensive player.
I like that. I like that a lot. And I would also just love to silence the Yoshida haters, because there is a lot of them. There is a surprising amount of them, especially because like he had so many hot stretches last year where he was like the best hitter in baseball for like multiple weeks in a row. And that just like still didn't convince anybody. So I would just like to squash the longevity argument and just see like a full season where he mashes. That would be unbelievable.
I hate the idea that people are like, oh, you paid him that much, now you're going to make him a DH. As if like that level of DH wouldn't get $20 million. It's not, everyone gets $20 million. It's insane right now. It's just a matter of who hits free agency when.
It's not, a 10-year, $350 million. It's not 35 a year for a decade. In that case, I could be like, well, I'd like to get some defense out of that guy. And like, I've made it clear that like, I don't like giving up on him defensively, but in terms of the money, I mean, I don't have a problem with the money. I think they should spend all the money in the world.
Do you think like if they could take that back and have made that a 1-year deal after seeing it for a year and knowing he's probably going to be the DH, do you think they take his $20 million this year if he was on the free agent market and it's like, you could have paid 30 for Bellinger and had a super weird fit situation. Chapman's not as good offensively. I mean, and we already have Devers at third. Who would you have wanted this offseason instead of Yoshida as a guy in the middle of the lineup that matches? I don't think.
I mean, people would say Soler as like a comp.
Yeah, they would be wrong in my opinion.
They would be wrong, but they would say Soler. My team MVP, dude. Look at us. Neither of us taking the easy answer. Look at us avoiding the chalk.
Yeah, maybe being a little stupid.
Contrarianism. Yeah.
Sure. Better word.
You call it a whole bunch of things. I'm going with Tristan Cassis, dude. I think a year from now, I was just on. I was on. What is the show called? Raise the Banner yesterday. Did a guest spot on the show. Raise the Banner. Matt Kuchar. I don't know. He got my last name wrong, so I don't feel bad getting his wrong.
Nice.
But check that out. I did a guest spot on their show, and we talked about Cassis a little bit. And I was saying, dude, I think a year from now, I think Cassis is solidly the face of this team. And I don't think it's just personality and his, outgoingness. I think it's also the fact that he's going to have a monster year, kind of just every year going forward for the foreseeable future. I think he is a guy who is so locked in and so weird about his routine and bettering himself and so goal oriented. I don't think it's ever going to be enough for him.
That sounds a lot like AD, and he's pretty good.
Martinez?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember him. How about his quote about not wanting to go to the Giants? I liked that. Did you see that?
I saw that he didn't want to go to the Giants. I didn't see there was a quote. I saw a tweet saying that he didn't want to play for the Giants before he signed, but I didn't see what he said about it.
Yeah, he was just super honest. He's like, well, like I'm getting older, and I'm an opposite field hitter. And yeah, he was like, it's a bad park for me. So if I went there and I, hit 240 this year and then, couldn't get a contract next year, it doesn't, I don't want to end my career early because of a bad park. It was just very honest. You normally don't hear guys be that straightforward. I thought that was nice from old Jumbo. What do you got for Team Cy Young if you got one?
I do.
Okay.
And it wasn't, oh man, this guy's gonna be the balls. It was there are three options here. Let's be real. There's three options. You can pick Cutter Crawford. You can pick Brent Bayo, which I feel like most people would pick, or you can go with Nick Pivetta. Unless you want to go with, I thought about a bull. My instinct was actually to go bullpen, but I don't see anyone having like a Chris Martin type year again. I don't know if that's possible to just pluck somebody and say they're gonna have an elite bullpen season. So at least with this team. So I went with Nick Pivetta, and I basically just looked at the three guys that you expect to have a lot of innings, 150 plus type role. And of the three, he's got 11.5 K per nine. Crawford's got 9.4. Bayo's got 7.6. Strikeout rate, 31.2%. These are all last year's numbers, by the way. 25.6 for Crawford, only 19.8 for Bayo, which I feel like if you look at his stuff, he's filthy. But Bayo gets hit, and he doesn't have a lot of strikeout stuff. His batting average against last year was 270. Pavetta's was 208. So if you look at those kind of numbers, which I care about, strikeouts, batting average against, whip, those categories, it's Pivetta.
You know what's crazy? I was going to say the same thing. Not for the same reasons, but I also had Pivetta. Well, some of the same reasons. I also think he's going to be one of the better pitchers on the staff, so that we have that in common. That's why I picked him for Team Cy Young. But I also think, this is going off a little bit of intangibles, you're going to notice a theme where I'm going with my gut kind of a lot. I think the whole demotion thing that happened with him last year, I mean, it obviously messed with him, and it obviously got in his head. Being at the top of the rotation, I think he's the kind of guy to flex and be like, yeah, I belong here. And I think it drives him. He had the motivator last year to get out of the bullpen and then earn that spot in the rotation to stay there. And it is really funny that the following year he's the number 2 starter and very well could have been the opening day starter. That's a really, really cool team we got going on right now. But I think in the exact same way, he's going to say yeah, I belong here. And yeah, everybody's talking about how we need another starting pitcher. Boom, you got one. Oh, you need an ace at the top. Boom, I'm here. I see him being that kind of guy. He's ferocious. And we'll talk a little bit about it in the final segment of this show. But I really like him in this first series in Seattle. But we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Next up, we got home run
you
leader.
Just that one in. That's right. So Joey didn't give me prep for this one, and this is the hardest question he asked today. So
It's
I'm
hard.
going to go out on a limb here and say that Rafael Devers is going to hit the most home runs. Do we want to give a number? I feel like that's the only way this is going to be remotely fun. Excuse you?
Chalk, dude. You're throwing up chalk
Fine.
now.
Rob Refsnyder, it's going to be 6 home runs, and that's going to be the most on the team. Is that what you want to hear?
There it is. That's what I want, dude. No, I don't think you're wrong is the thing.
There were 2 answers you could give.
Yeah. And I'm going with the other one. It's Cassis. I think Cassis hits 37 homers this year. Do you have a number for Devers? What do you think he hits?
I think I'm going to go 36.
36? You know what's wild is, this is obviously, but also weird every time I think about it, is that Devers has never had a 40 homer year.
Yeah, and that's why I think predicting 40 plus home run years is very hard for outside of not even generational talent. There's only so many guys, because even with how many did Judge hit last year? I know he's hurt, but that's what I mean. If you're guessing, there's so many things that can go wrong, and there's so many not one-off seasons, but variances between home runs. So I always try and go for that mid 35 range. I think I went 36 for Devers, but I feel like that's a safe number to lead the team this year.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong. I think that's probably the safer answer. I just think it's funner to imagine a world where Tristan Cassis is taking over the city. He could be whatever. It doesn't matter. We'll see. We'll see it. You'll all fucking see. Who do you got for? We're not who. What do you got for a bold prediction. I didn't give you really any prep on these two because this is ones that we've done these past 2 years. There's a difference here between bold prediction and weird prediction.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I did. I think that initially was kind of like that one took me the longest. But I think my weird prediction, I think I definitely differentiated the two correctly. And you can let me know if I'm completely wrong, like I was yesterday, like an idiot.
All right, perfect. All right,
Montgomery.
let's see if you can keep your idiot streak going.
Okay, so I feel pretty good. So for a bold prediction, I see either a combination or at least one of Slayton, Campbell, or Weissert developing into a high leverage reliever, like legit hurler. I think Slayton and Campbell probably, if I had to put one guy on it, it'd probably be that. But I could see two of them being filthy.
So what was it?
and
It was
kinda-
Slayton, Campbell, and who? Weissert?
Weissert, which that one's a little more bold than the other two, but I feel good about those three in the back of the bullpen, kind of rising up throughout the year, kind of like how like Winkowski started the year in that, multi-inning will put you in the fifth just to close a gap. And then eventually it was like, he's kind of our best guy for the spot right now. And he started to get more high leverage roles. I think those three, I think it could be two out of those three, or at least one. I'd feel very confident about one, but I think two out of those three become important pieces in the bullpen this year. And not because other people get hurt, underperform, whatever, because they're actually like good.
I like that. I like Campbell. He's a weird looking fellow. Have you seen him?
Yeah, yeah.
He's got that mustache.
Yeah.
And I've been spending a lot of time on the pronunciation page. He has a voice like this, which I think is something. Isaiah Campbell. I'm going to master all these impressions, but I'm only going to be able to say their names. So that's
Were you having trouble with Campbell? Is that why you went in there?
I've watched all 40 of them multiple times.
Yeah, I should do that. I didn't plan on being on a mic 2 times a week this season, so I might have to go back. When that was announced, like I saw that and I was like, I just got to know how to spell them. And really, I just got to know how to hit Control C and Control V, to be honest.
I mean, I'm also here. It's also not hard to like say most of them. I don't think that there's any that are like Von Grissom was like the one that I opened the page for because I could have sworn it was Grisham. My bold prediction is that Bobby Dahlbeck puts up a 110 OPS plus.
Wow.
I think that he plays 56 games, and I think he puts up a 110 OPS plus.
Yeah, that's a bad call, Joey.
I don't think it is.
I think your heart is in this, and I appreciate that. But
listen, it's a bold prediction.
It is. Am I supposed to say someone that stinks is going to be an MVP? What am I supposed to do here? Maybe it wasn't bold enough.
Greg
I thought a Rule 5 guy.
Greg Weissert. You're sitting here saying Greg Weissert's going to be reliable. Bobby's not that crazy. Bobby's going to have a breakout year. Bobby's the future of this team. I know he's 28, but he's the future of this team.
That's what people seem to leave out for like years when they talked about Bobby, is they would be like, he's developing. And I'm like, he's 27. He's 20. Like he's in a prime right now.
Yeah, no, he should be on another team where he gets to play. That's the thing.
I agree with. I don't think he's, it wasn't working here. He needs to be a platoon against lefties. And maybe if he only played lefties, and he'll always keep striking out at that clip, but maybe he could, I don't know, 110's a lot, but maybe if there's a very specific role.
It is. All right. Your weird prediction.
Okay. This one, it's weird. Yeah. So that's what we're going for. Is that right?
Weird one.
We're going for
let's hear a weird one.
Yeah, I was thinking about this, and I think the biggest thing is I don't think we're going to learn that much about this team this season. I think there is, there's this idea that like every time you go into a season, it's like, we're going to put Willock on the rotation. Now we're going to find out if he's a starter or not. Do we have that answer? I mean, kind of, but not really. Like, I think guys like Helk, Whitlock, we still haven't figured out what we're doing with them. It's been 3 years now of like moving them around. There was the 1 year with Whitlock where he is what he was, and then since then they've just been shifting. Bayo had a 4.2 ERA last year. If he has a 4 ERA, do we still know? I think we're still saying he could take a big leap. Like, I don't think we're like he's a 4 ERA guy. I think we're like still hoping on that.
Yeah.
From a position player standpoint, you look at the outfield. Rafaela, Duran, Abreu are going to be splitting reps so much. There could be injuries, whatever. I still don't know that we're going to be like if like Duran has a chance that if he has a good full season, I think we'll be like, okay, that's a legit good player.
Yeah.
Abreu, there could be so much variance there. Rafael, more than likely, he'll like show out defensively and then be middling at best offensively. And then you're still going to be like, well, hopefully next year he becomes this. And then at second base, that's my last one, is, you got Grissom's already hurt. So it's like we'll see when he comes back. And, the plan is probably like mid-April or so. And then it's like, who knows what he'll become to be his first full year. And he's already going to miss the first 20 games or so, whatever it is, 15. And so I think he'll play at a level where it's like he's not going to get the games to be like, I know who that is. And it's going to be his first full season. So you're not going to go into year 2 being like, he's a blank hitter. This is what we got. His defense is probably going to, hopefully improve every year. But like sometimes it doesn't. We were expecting big jumps from Devers year to year and stuff like that. And then before that, you got Valdez and Reyes. And I don't think you're going to learn about Valdez because he's going to be a platoon guy for 15 games. And then he's not. So, yeah, my take is basically just that we get a lot of young guys, or we get a lot of guys that are unproven, and you're hoping what they are going into 2025. But I could see a scenario where like half of these guys are still question marks.
I mean, I hate that. I don't hate your prediction. I hate that if that's the case.
Yeah.
I hate that it's not that it's not impossible, that I don't really have a firm case to like vehemently disagree with you. That makes me a little
scary.
A little weary. Yeah,
Play the kids movement is scary because you're dealing with like a 3-year probably, and then you might figure out what he is when you're just like, oh, this guy's a 4th starter, and we just spent 4 years on that, which is likely what's going to happen with like Whitlock or Houck. It's like, we got a 4th, 5th starter here, long reliever, and he was the best reliever in baseball, and we screwed him up.
They did do that, didn't they?
Joey, you got a fun. Come on, pick us up.
You know what's funny is my weird prediction was going to be like a fun one. It is a fun one. I think the Sox win a game. That'd be funny if that was the whole thing. I think the Sox win a game on one of the new rules. Like I think there's a game that ends with like the tag rule, like the new block in the base rule. I think there's a game where the Sox win on a call like that. It was actually going to be where they lose on one, but yours brought me down so much that I'm going to say that they win on one.
Yeah, I mean, well, the flip side of my take is that there are so many young guys that it leaves variance, and it'd be better this way in a way going into a season like this than to have a bunch of established players where you know exactly what they are and they just stink. Because what I said about all of those players, Rafaela could be awesome, and Whitlock and Houck could be okay. We don't know. Abreu, Duran, like one of those guys could be legit hitters. Grissom's supposed to be able to slug. So it's like it goes either way. It's just the fact that you hope it goes, and you might not.
Yeah. I guess it's not as negative as I made it out to be, but yeah, mine's a funny little silly one. I think they win on one of those weird rules. Last one here, because we got to wrap up. Not because we're doing our interview with Sammy in a second.
I already did that. You heard it.
We already did that. You guys have already heard it. It's the easy one. Record and a place in the division.
I went 83-79, sort of because of what I just said about the weird prediction thing. Oh, and obviously last. But I basically, what I just said about the variance is if you just look at the additions and losses, we're just factually worse. But that's not accounting for the fact that like Abreu last year was a part-time 30, at bat guy. And if he has 400 at bats this year and turns to be much better, great. Like we could do, and I think we have enough of those guys where we could just be just slightly better based on getting a couple of good breaks, including injuries, including like late games, defense being better. I think we could just end up if any of these young guys we're excited about are close to what they're supposed to be, we could just be marginally better than 78 wins. So 83.
You know what's funny is I have them 79 and 83.
Oh,
Yeah,
Mr.
check that out.
Pessimistic. What happened?
I mean, I think the division is just so good. And I keep going to say minus the Rays, but like you just can't say that. I think that like it'll probably happen again where like the Rays are just way better than they have any business being.
Yeah, they'll win the season series probably.
I think that we'll look at their record at the end of the year and be like, that's weird because they were better than that. Like, yeah. I think they're going to be a pretty good 79 win team. I think they're going to be a 79 win team that like could be better than that record.
I think the one thing that helps give a little bit more optimism is the new schedule. The fact that we don't have to play our historically good division as much as we did 2 years ago. So that's the one thing where like I actually thought about, obviously you think about your division when you're giving predictions, but I put less stock into that than I would have, 2 or 3 years ago, just because you don't play them as much. So I'm like, we are going to get to play the bad NL teams and replace those games with the Yankees and stuff like that, like we would have. But last year they had the balanced schedule and they won 78. So I think we're in the same ballpark.
We should probably talk about this Mariners series at some point, huh? Like preview it a little bit.
Yeah, we could start with like a position group of some. Should we do like? Yeah, maybe like. There's a time. Is it time for the pigeon previews? You think?
Okay, folks, the 2024 MLB season is upon us, starting with 4 games in Seattle. Game 1 is going to be Brian Bayo versus Luis Castillo. Bayo was named the opening day starter last week, which we all definitely expected to happen back in November. Brian Bayo will be entering his age 25 season at the top of the rotation after finishing last year with a 1.07 ERA+. From May through August of last year, he maintained a 3.22 ERA through 18 starts, but he finished the year with a 3.06 ERA when pitching at night, and oh boy, is this game at night or what. Luis Castillo gets the opening day nod from the Mariners for the second straight year. Dude is nails, unless he's facing the Boston Red Sox. Since joining the Mariners, this guy has an ERA against the Red Sox of 9. Don't look up how many outings or how many innings that is. He has given up bombs to Duran and Cassis. Sox start the season 1-0. Game 2 is going to be Nick Pivetta versus George Kirby. Nick Pivetta is Canadian, but only barely. His hometown of Victoria, British Columbia is just a 2-hour ferry from Seattle, so this is a homecoming game for the Canadian kid. Could we see Nick Pivetta smile? Probably not. George Kirby is most people's pick, many people's pick, for the AL Cy Young Award. Not me. His career ERA jumps almost a full run when facing the Red Sox somehow. Trevor Story has only ever hit home runs against him, going 2 for 5 with 2 bombs and 4 RBI. Sox start the season 2-0. Game 3 is going to be Cutter Crawford versus Logan Gilbert. My God, the Mariners rotation is so good. Cutter Crawford starts the season opening against a non-animal team, which may be tough for him. Oh, wait, just kidding. He has posted 10 scoreless innings with 12 Ks against the Mariners. What a whip of one on the nose. Logan Gilbert made 32 starts last year, throwing over 190 innings and posting an ERA of 3.85. But Scott, guess what?
You tell me.
That ERA jumps when he's at home. Do the Sox start 3-0? I say yay. Game 4 is going to be Garrett Whitlock versus Bryce Miller. Garrett Whitlock is starting. Bryce Miller started the first 25 games of his career last season, ERA plus of 93. Dude sucks. And that is going to do it for your pitching preview. Scott?
4-0. That's a good start.
You think they start 4-0? Is this insane to say? I think this is.
You just did it.
Yeah, well, I left off game 4, but I think there's a really good shot that they could split this series. They could sweep the series. They could split the series, and I wouldn't be stunned at all.
No, I think that's. I mean, they're a 500 team. That's exactly what they should do. They're just split every series. Every 4-game series, they should go 2-2. And you know what? Maybe screw it. Let's win them all. Why not?
I think there's a non-zero chance that they win this series. And it sucks that we have to start the year by being shocked that they could win a series. But the Mariners are slated to be very good. Very, very good. So they might even be the favorite. No.
In the West? I think it would be Astros.
I think it might be them over the Astros. Rangers too, though? I mean, I don't know. I'm going to look it up.
I was going to look it up, but if you...
I mean, you look it up too. Let's have a time.
Yeah, all right. All right, hey, let's have some fun. This is good content.
It is Astros, Rangers, them. Yep.
There we go.
There you go. Well, I disagree with that. You can get them for plus. No, you can't. No, you can't. Anyway,
their rotation, I think, is deceiving. I still think they're in the same boat as us, relatively. If we were in that division, we're third-ish place. We're behind the Rangers and the Astros confidently, but it'd be better than the Oakland Athletics. I would say yes.
What a turnaround that we've accomplished in this show. This is basically a playoff team. Starting with a sweep. Pretty much.
Yeah, and I'd assume we'd get the bye. We're not playing the wild card round.
No. My God. This team, the Boston Red Sox, third in franchise evaluation? I don't think so. Now, do you have anything for emptying your brain of thoughts with Joey and Scott?
I just, I'm 24 hours into this experience, and I will say I think this was a better one than the first one, personally. And I still think I'm having trouble, though. The whole team shower before the recordings would be the only thing I'm kind of like, I don't want to say iffy, but it's just I was a guest before and I didn't have to do that.
What do you mean?
Well, it's just like when I was a guest before, we didn't have to do team showers, and now I have
you do.
To,
you don't have. Right. Well, you don't have to. You get to.
Well, you kept saying like it's not like I was like it's kind of like seems kind of like a weird, not cult type thing, but and I was, but you kept telling me not to say that. You kept saying, "Do not say that. This is not that." So that's all I would say.
It's not like that at all. It's a team bonding. It's team bonding.
Yeah, it's an adjustment.
It's not changing.
Well, as I'm saying.
Listen, Steve established what this show was supposed to be. Do you understand that I am carrying a legacy here? I'm carrying
a little
torch.
ritualistic. I know you told me not to say that. You told me you were very clear about not saying those words, but it's just a little. I don't know. I never had to do that in my old work. So that's my only closing thought. Is just I thought that was a little. That's the only. I feel like I'm transitioning okay. That part's sticking with me a little bit longer than the rest of it.
Yeah, we'll stick with you for a bit.
Also, Thick Willie is a cool name. So
Thick Willie is a cool nickname. But we recorded that interview so long ago. What are you talking about?
I said that in the beginning because I knew it then.
Yeah.
Job played Tessie.
We recorded that interview so long ago. I got a thought that I want to empty out of my brain with Joey and Scott. I posted this on Twitter. Well, I'll say it here. Wildman Winter has reached its conclusion. Jordan Montgomery has signed. The Red Sox go into opening day tomorrow with no significant acquisition. I will not be keeping my hair throughout the entirety of the year. I just cannot do it. But I found a way to benefit somebody, other people, while having some fun with it too. That I think is really cool. I will be posting the link here. But if you go to mybuzzoff.org/page/Joey Capone, you can find a fundraiser for the Joey Capone Wildman Winter Conclusion. I will be shaving my head at Gillette Stadium on May 5th to raise money for children with cancer. So you can donate there. I will be posting the link in the next day or two. The thing is, there's just so many things to post, and I think this deserves to be posted in a window where there's not like a Poppy promo and an opening day survey. And, there's just so much stuff. I don't want it to get lost in the middle of all that because I think this deserves some eyes. So what I'm going to do is probably wait a couple days and then throw this up there. But if you do go to that site, you can find it. Trying to raise some money beforehand. Again, it's for kids with cancer. And then we'll be making some videos out of it where I shave my head. I've got a bad head. My mother is begging me to not shave my head. She's like, can you just have them cut it short? I'm like, I think the point is like to have a shaved head. That's like the point.
You're going to go to the kids with cancer, go, give me a little, please. I mean, let's not be ridiculous. Just negotiate. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. One on the side, fade, and then enough to gel over to the right. Yeah. No, I think you go there and the whole thing is that you're like, hey, it's nothing to be embarrassed of to have no hair. I think that's like the whole point, Ma. So
right.
I will be shaving my head. Despite my mother's pleas, I will be wearing a lot of hats this summer. But if you can donate and you want to, please do. Obviously, no money goes to me or the show or anything like that. It's through buzzforkids.org. Raising money for a good cause and then making a fun little video and then continuing to look ridiculous. So kind of a win-win-win all around. So thanks a lot, John Henry. On that note, though, probably time for us to get out of here. Thank you all for listening. You can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at ITM_pod. You can follow me at Joey Capone and at Scott Neville 46 for this other guy. You've gotten some Twitter followers in the past couple of days. How's that feel?
Yeah, it's been cool. I don't think I've done anything to deserve it, but I appreciate leeching off of you. It's been fun.
Cool. All right. Look forward to more of that. We will talk to you guys after this opening series in Seattle, Washington. For Scott Neville, I'm Joey Capone. Go Sox, kid.